Okay, so coming to the demerits of a parliamentary form of government. Okay, so the first demerit is that a parliamentary form of government offers unstable government. Okay, unstable government unstable government because in a parliamentary system when the elections are held, there can be a single party having absolute majority and there cannot be a single party having absolute majority. You know that the government is formed when a particular number of seats is reached in the elections. Okay. So now when in the first instance let us say that a single largest party obtains the sufficient number of seats which are required to form the government and it forms the government. For example, the present BJP government at the center, it has absolute majority. Okay. Now this is a stable government. We are not saying that it is unstable government, it is a stable government. But suppose a scenario where a single party does not get enough seats which are required to form a government. In this case, what happens is a coalition government is formed. Coalition means a group. It is such a government in which two or more parties come together, sum up their number of seats and have a number which is combined number of seats which is more than the magic figure which is required to form the government. Okay. So when two or more parties join hands to form the government, it is a coalition government. But coalition governments are unstable in the sense that when they join hands, it is okay. But when they start working together, one party may not like the style of working of the other party. Okay, this happens. Okay, conflicts may crop up. So when the conflicts crop up, it may happen, and it has happened in the past a number of times, that one or two parties take away their support from the government. In this case, the government falls because the magic figure which was reached to form the government earlier when they had patched up, now the magic figure is gone. Okay, so the government falls, and this may happen within months of forming the government or 1 year or 2 years of forming the government. Suppose we spend a lot of money in the elections and no single party comes to the close to the near the magic figure. So it join hands with other parties and forms a coalition government. Now coalition government does not work properly and the government falls within 6 months of time. So in this way we say that the parliamentary system of government is not a stable system of government, whereas in the presidential system, when a president is elected, he is elected for 4 years. There is no danger to the tenure of the president, except for a scenario of impeachment of the president in USA, but that impeachment process is very difficult to be brought, and so we can say that our parliamentary system is unstable as compared to the presidential system in USA. Presidential system is more stable. Okay. Coming to the second point, no continuity of policies when government changes. Now, when a coalition government falls, another coalition government may crop up and it may form the government. Now, in case of the second coalition, the policies of the first coalition will be stopped and the new policies of the second coalition will start. Okay, so there will be a discontinuation of the policies throughout. Suppose a scenario where within a span of 5 years 2 or 3 coalitions are formed. So within a span of 5 years, we will have 2 or 3 discontinuation of policies. Okay, suppose one government implements a law, the other government repeals that law. Then another government comes and it again implements the law. So the whole country will get confused. What is this happening? The policies, one government brings a policy, second government brings another policy, third government brings another policy. So this is complete chaos, and it is an unwelcome thing in our parliamentary system. The third point is dictatorship tendencies of the cabinet. Dictatorship tendencies of the cabinet is an important demerit, because you see, and this does not happen in a coalition government, it happens when a single largest party is in full majority. Okay? So when a single largest party is in full majority, it knows that it is in power for full 5 years. Nobody can do anything. It enjoys power for full 5 years. So it can bring any law, it can pass any law because it is in majority. In this way we can say that the cabinet becomes dictatorial. Okay, coming to the next point, that is against separation of powers. Parliamentary system is against separation of powers. How? Parliamentary system is against the principle of separation of power. How? I already told you that there are 3 pillars of government: executive, legislature and judiciary. But here we are saying that parliamentary system is against the principle of separation of powers. How? Because executive is a part of legislature. So how the executive can be differentiated from the legislature in the first place? It cannot be differentiated. Both are same. Both work in the same building, that is Parliament House. Executive is a part of legislature. Yeah, judiciary is separate. Okay? So executive comes from the legislature. An executive member has to first become a member of the legislature. So that is why parliamentary system is against the principle of separation of power. And the last point is government by amateurs. Government by amateurs or generalists. Amateurs means the ministers are not educated, they are not skilled in the government working or any other thing. They are anybody, our system does not prescribe any educational qualification for a minister. So even a technical department like education department can be headed by an illiterate person. So this is the system we are having. So amateur people having little knowledge of anything, they are journalists. Their only like important thing is that they are representatives of the people. They do not have, they may not have an education qualification, they may not have any other skilled qualification, but they are ministers. So this is a very big disadvantage of a parliamentary system. Now you may say that it may happen in the presidential system as well. Yeah, this thing may happen, but there one thing is there to get away from this system. And there the thing is, when the president is elected, he appoints experts of every department by choose and pick. You getting my point? He appoints the heads of the departments of every department by choosing and picking the best brains in the country. Okay, for example, he may appoint a Nobel laureate as head of the finance department. He may appoint the best educator as the head of the education department of the country, and etc. etc. So the president chooses meritorious people in his cabinet, but here the Prime Minister does not have that thing with him. He does not have to choose the best brains. He cannot choose the best brains, even if he wants to choose the best brains in the country to head as the departmental heads, he cannot do so, because here the system does not allow. Here the system is this, that the ministers will be those who are representatives of the government, and the Prime Minister cannot choose and pick them from the like academicians or economists and scientists and etc. etc. Okay. So this is a drawback of parliamentary system. Now coming to why we chose the demerits are complete. Now coming to why we chose this parliamentary system. The first point is we chose parliamentary system because we had a familiarity with this system. Okay, we had a familiarity with this system because the Britishers were already working with us. They made a lot of laws here. Government of India Acts, Government of India 1935 Act is a big act. Okay, it is also called as mini constitution. Okay, then they started making acts for India, starting from Regulating Act 1773. Okay, so in fact they introduced parliamentary system in India, and we had a lot of experience of it. So when they went away, we continued with it. So we had a familiarity with this system, so we continued it. The second point is preference to more responsibility. Now two things are very important here. In every government, two things are very important: stability and responsibility. Stability and responsibility. I already told you that parliamentary system is less stable as compared to a presidential system. Okay, I already told you this. Parliamentary form of government, that is our form of government, is less stable than the presidential form of government. We have less stability. But parliamentary system is more responsible than a presidential system. Presidential system may deteriorate into a dictatorship, but a parliamentary system cannot deteriorate into a dictatorship. So here the responsibility factor is very important. Okay. So in our case, in parliamentary system, responsibility factor is very important, and it is very like it has its roots in India. So we have responsible governments in India. Our executive is responsible to the legislature, but we do have less stability. We have more responsibility, but we have less stability. Okay. So we preferred, when our constitution makers were making the constitution, we preferred responsibility to stability. We had a choice then. We could have preferred stability to responsibility, but we preferred responsibility to stability. Why? Because India is a plural country. Okay, here different heterogeneous groups live together, and here the public representatives must be very responsible. Okay, only then the country will run smoothly. Coming to the third point, to avoid legislature and executive conflicts. Okay, so we have to avoid the conflict between legislature and executive. So we chose parliamentary system, because if we would have chosen presidential system, then there would be conflict between executive and legislature, which I already told you are there. So in our case, there are less conflicts. Okay, less conflicts are there between executive and legislature. So that is why we chose this system. Okay, this is last point is nature of Indian society. Nature of Indian society, again that point will come, that heterogeneous society, multi-religious, multilingual people, and not so much educated people, and a large population. So we chose parliamentary system because parliamentary system more suited this type of a country. Okay, so this was about parliamentary system, merits, demerits, and why we chose parliamentary system. I think I made you clear everything, and if you still have some doubts, you can WhatsApp me on my number 9596 66 2695. I repeat, 9596 66 2695. okay, and you can also comment on the comment section here. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.